Hey guys, I'm Andrew. Welcome to my channel where I teach you how to get more seller finance deals, whether you're an agent investor, how to build your own portfolio faster and get out of the 9-to-5 grind, or if you're a seller, sell at a much higher price with a lot less work doing things through creative finance. I appreciate you stopping by. Make sure to like and subscribe to help me push out more content like this. When I reach out to a seller for the first time, it's usually a canceled or expired listing who had a really bad experience previously with an agent. A lot of times they didn't get their result. Maybe they had a falling out with the agent, but whatever the case is, they wanted to sell and it didn't go up as planned, and they end up as a canceled or expired listing, which means they are no longer on MLS. They're no longer on the market. They might be frustrated. They might still want to sell, or maybe they decided not to sell altogether. My job when I do that first call is to find out what that situation is. Try to find out what went wrong previously when selling, if anything, if they're still interested to sell, what is their motivation? Why did they want to sell in the first place? And where are they looking to go? I usually do that just by asking if they're still considering offers and if it still made sense to take an offer, assuming they got their price. That's when I get into what I'm doing today for many sellers and buyers. It is helping them with seller finance, which is an alternative to selling the more traditionally way, where your only lever is selling traditionally is really to lower your price. And unfortunately, that's what most agents tell their sellers when they don't get their price, is lower their price. I'm here to tell them, and I try to get into it in the first 30 seconds of the call, that there's an alternative. There's what's called seller finance, and depending on their situation, a lot of times they can still get their price and sell at a much higher price, because we're not using price. That's probably the fourth or fifth most important thing when selling on seller finance, whereas the most important thing is actually the terms, the interest rate the buyer's getting, how much their down payment is, and a couple other factors that goes in. So that's what I let them know, is if you still want to sell and get your price, there's an alternative, but I'm not here to pitch you on it or try to sell you on seller finance. I'm simply trying to let you know there's an alternative option out there that most real estate agents today are still not telling sellers. And my only job is to give you that as an option, or let you know that option is available. And then you as the seller decide if it makes sense to have a conversation at all moving forward, if it's something that you want to move forward. And that's when we'll try to figure out, is this person actually a lead? And should we continue from there? If it's not a lead, if they're not interested at all or don't think it's a right solution for many reasons, what I normally say is, hey, we can still be friends, no worries. If I can help in the future, if I can help you selling a different way through either a cash offer or even list you myself traditionally and shoot you straight, give you the real numbers that it's actually gonna take to cause your home to sell, that's great. But if not, maybe you're a buyer later. Maybe you're looking to buy a new primary house or a perfect rental that actually cash flows because it has a lower interest rate. And some of those people I'll offer to put on my buyer list, and they'll get my deals when I get them from other sellers. And a lot of time we become friends after that and do a business deal, a real estate deal later on down the road. That's typically how the flow of my calls go with sellers for the first time. Usually we're gonna have a few objections, which is perfectly normal. I call them questions and objections, one and the same. One of the most common things when it comes to seller finance that sellers have as an objection is, I don't want this mortgage in my name anymore. I just want to detach the house. And that's perfectly fine. That's reasonable if that is. My job as a consultant here to see if this is an option is understand why they don't want the mortgage in their name. Maybe they went through a divorce and they don't want the other person. They don't want to share anything with them, including a mortgage in their name. Maybe they think that they're not going to be able to qualify for their next home. So it's my job just to ask those questions and understand why. A lot of time they think that the buyer on a seller finance transaction is going to make their down payment, take over the deed to the house, and then they're going to get abducted by aliens and no longer seen again and no longer making payments. So that's my job, is to understand if that's the case. And I'll simply explain that, we're going to work through a title and closing attorney. And there's gonna be things like a deed of trust, a promissory note, sometimes a performance deed that actually secure your position. And as some sellers see it, it's actually a good thing if they get a property back they're gonna have ways to do that, but they're also gonna keep a down payment. Another one of the top objections is that a seller wants all their equity out right now. Sometimes in seller finance transactions, the buyer wants to make a certain down payment and it's not all their equity. So I just have to understand, what is their goal? Like, what do they need that money for? Are they buying a new house and they need the entire down payment? Maybe it's a VA loan and they're worried about losing that entitlement and they have to buy another property on a VA loan down the road. And that's one of the top objections. One of the other top objections is they think that I'm just a traditional real estate. Whenever a canceled expired goes on the market, they typically get called any single day by about 30 agents in the Phoenix Metro. And that's some of the first things they say is, hey, I don't want to be listed. I already had 2 agents. It didn't work out, or the market's just not good enough. That's my job, is to let them know that I'm an investor. I can be a buyer for these deals. We do not have to list your property the traditional way. Usually when you offer terms, not only can you get a seller to sell at a much higher price, but you can also sell off market to other investors or end buyers because they're after your terms and they don't care as much about your price. So no, you don't have to list your house, again, the traditional way. Show it to all the different buyers who want to come in, pick your place apart, try to lowball offer, and then at the end of the day, go through an inspection process where they want you to fix certain things, if not ask for a seller concession. Buyers, when you sell the non-traditional way, the seller finance way, are typically much easier to work with, and that's where I have to get into that objection on how to handle it, is that there's a different way to sell and you don't have to sacrifice price, and it doesn't have to be as painful as going the traditional route. When I'm contacting these sellers, I think you have to have a script. Now, not for the reason you think. A lot of people think you sound like a robot when you're going through a script. It's automated what you're gonna say, and you're not really listening to the seller. For me, it goes back to prospecting and mindset. When you have a script, you have a framework of what you're gonna say, and that gives you the confidence to actually make the calls. Because no matter if the seller or prospect comes off harsh or throws a curveball at you from left field, when you have a framework that you use, it's easier to know next step in line. Like, here's the next question, here's where this lead is going. But again, you do not want to sound like a robot. You want to rehearse and internalize that script to make it part of you. You should be able to wake up. If I woke you up in the middle of the night, you should be able to rehearse your script and have gone through it that many times so you don't actually sound like a robot. You're internalizing it. You have that framework, which is going to lead to making way more calls because you have the confidence and you're not going to get easily rattled when a seller picks up and says something mean or throws you a curveball out of left field. You absolutely have a script, or the calls could just go all over the place and you're gonna lose a lot of time and waste a lot of time by not having one. If you wanna see the script I'm using, message me, put it in the comment below, or contact me on Instagram. I'd be happy to connect with you and share the script I'm using to bring in 1 deal per week, every single week. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. If you'd like more content like this and want to do more seller finance deals, do a deal with myself, please like, subscribe, and message me on Instagram, and I look forward to doing a deal with you one day.